All right, good morning, everybody. It's Thursday morning show, and Rob Lapham's calling all the way from Port St. Joe, and it's been an interesting week for him. He's been observing what's happening in the elections and the state elections and what's happening around the country, and there's been a lot of events, and he always kind of gives us our weekly, well, this is how I feel what's going on during the Trump administration. So good morning, Rob. How are we doing this morning, sir?
I'm doing pretty good, James. How are you?
I'm doing great. I really am. We're staying busy and fixing lots of cars and answering lots of questions, and well, that's what I like to do.
Good.
But this election was an interesting election for governor this week, was it not?
Well, for sure. I guess I was not too surprised to see our Republican candidate, the congressman, come out with Trump's endorsement. Although I wasn't really following that too close. But I was totally blown away when Gillum, the Tallahassee mayor, won the Democrat primary, and I thought for sure it would be Gwen Graham, who's, of course, well known in this area because of her former service as a congresswoman. But then on listening and seeing some news reports that George Soros got behind this Gillum guy last year, and then Tom Steyer weighed in this year, and I guess he had untold millions of dollars. So I guess that's one of the reasons why he came to the top. But the guy's a frickin' socialist. I mean, he's got, apparently, for the last 3 consecutive years, Tallahassee, his mayordom, has the worst crime rate of any city in Florida, apparently. And again, I'm just looking at news reports in the last day, and I wasn't aware of his background before then. And there are a number of investigations of alleged fraud and alleged cronyism with respect to infrastructure projects in Tallahassee, none of which have been tied to him at this point, or at least that's what the news reports say. But good Lord, I mean, what's it coming to? These far-left people, he wants universal health care, free stuff for everybody.
Absolutely.
No idea how it's going to be paid for, and it just makes me sick.
I think we all need to make not $15 an hour, but $100 an hour, Rob. If you're going to raise it, without any rhyme or reason to why you're doing it, other than the fact we got to have a living wage. Well, if $15 is living wage, wouldn't $50 be better than $15? So let's make it $100, and that way everybody has lots of money because, well, we can print our own money, right? That's how we can do that.
That's what happens in Venezuela. In fact, that's what DeSantis, the Republican candidate for governor, said yesterday.
Yeah.
He referenced Venezuela as a marker on the same kinds of policies that Gillum promotes. So, yeah, we can make $100 an hour or $1,000 an hour. It doesn't make any difference. The money's not going to be worth anything at that point.
Absolutely. Now, the question I asked: now, how did Tallahassee elect a communist socialist mayor? That's one of the questions people have asked me the last couple of days. And I go, the only reason I can think of that is the possibility that the younger crowd. That Tallahassee is a college town, that if they're registered to vote, voted for someone that will give them things. That's the only thing I can think of, because if you ask a lot of millennials, who should be president, Donald Trump or Bernie Sanders, it's overwhelmingly Bernie Sanders, because he believes in all these free things. And, well, I just can't understand how they think it's going to be paid for, but hey, I'm just a mechanic. I don't know much. They'll let me know about that. But how did this happen? Is this what happened?
I don't know the whole story, but I can see a scenario where when Gillum is running for mayor and he espouses free college for everybody, what he means is it's going to be paid for by the state and by the federal government and not by the citizens in Tallahassee. So he has an answer to the question of who's going to pay for it. It's kind of not us. And I guess that flows to every other socialist program he wants, is that it isn't really paid for by the city. Now, in moving into state politics, it's a little more dangerous because the state has taxing authority that no city has. And, I would believe, I haven't seen it, but it wouldn't surprise me if he ever got in. God forbid that would happen. If he did, I would believe a state income tax would be introduced and all kinds of penalties on the citizens of Florida.
Absolutely.
And the massive influx that we have every year, I think it was 300,000 last year, of people moving to Florida, that'd dry up pretty quick.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, Illinois and California and Massachusetts and a couple other states up there are so tax heavy that you can hear the giant sucking sound of the 1 or 2 percenters leaving these states because they're being assessed their taxes, and it's going to change this year on April 15th. And a lot of them are seeing how much they're going to have to pay, and they're making plans to leave the state and move to Florida, where they say Florida is #1 in freedom. Now, I don't know if that's true or not,
Yeah.
but if it is, on freedoms, as far as taxes and things like that in the United States, I'm all for that. I didn't think we were that high, but dadgummit, I'm really glad to see that. I know we have more elected libertarians in office than any state in the union. That was brought out at the convention this year, and it's Pennsylvania had that dubious honor until this year, and Marcos, the chair, they have done their best to get everybody from mosquito board all the way to county commission, and I think we have, I want to say, don't hold me to the numbers, I want to say 50 some odd people have qualified and are in office, elected office right now, which are been appointed or been elected, which is pretty impressive, considering 5 years ago we had one. One. So there is hope for us. There really is. People, I think, are getting tired of the government getting bigger. And now, don't get me wrong. There is a place for government. We have to have some government because men are not angels, and we got to make sure that we have government, and government means force. But we don't need to have bigger government, and that's what I see people are getting upset about. Every time we turn around, we've got another project we're trying to fund and help another special interest group out. And all that does is grow government, takes money out of your pocket and my pocket and gives it to somebody else. And that's the thing.
James, I'm becoming increasingly conflicted.
Wow.
You and I share the libertarian philosophy and are probably in agreement on at least 95% of everything. But by gosh, I look at what's going on, just with respect to the forthcoming gubernatorial election, but also midterm elections generally, control of the House of Representatives. And I find myself more and more thinking, gee whiz, I may have to vote Republican in a bunch of races just because I don't want the Republican candidate to lose a single vote where it might, cause a difference. You just can't see these socialists given any ground to them.
Oh,
I do think by the time some of the great things come along from what Trump has done, namely when we sit down to file our taxes next April, it's going to be such a different ballgame with the new forms and the lower rates and so forth. And that's great, but it doesn't happen before the midterms.
Nope.
I think the big thing that's going to help the conservative faction in the country in the midterms is, I think, going to happen tomorrow, and that's I think Canada is going to sign on to what Mexico and the United States have agreed. And when you have that North American bloc, that's going to push the European Union closer to coming to agreement. And then, of course, the big deal is China. I don't know what's going to happen there. But I think already yesterday, the agreement in principle for the deal with the Mexicans, it freezes almost all of these Chinese imports. The Chinese used to export auto parts to Mexico because they could be re-exported to the United States and they could avoid tariffs that way. That's all shut down with this new deal, and it's going to hurt China. I like these great big deals that Trump is doing. Frankly, James, you're a libertarian, I'm a libertarian, but I have not seen any president do what this president has done in such a short time. And I'm very impressed with him.
No argument. With the idea, you heard everyone poo-pooing about, he's going to North American NAFTA, free trade agreement. We have to keep that. It's a great deal for us. And then when you start looking at the details, it sounds an awful lot like Ross Perot said. There's going to be this giant sucking sound of things leaving America and going to Mexico, which there were. We had Hershey's, Pennsylvania. They moved to Mexico because of all the tax rates and benefits and things like that. And what ended up happening was we got hurt on that deal, and so we can thank we can thank the Clinton administration and the Bush administration for pushing that down our throat and hurting America. But I really think that it's working out well. People were saying just last week, oh, there's no way Canada's going to sign on that. Well, guess what? Just in a matter of 3 or 4 days, Canada's going, in our best interest, we need to sign in on this because it's not going to hurt us. It's only going to help us. And I really think that Mr. Trump is doing something that I don't think previous administrations had the guts to do because it would upset the people that give them money, is why they didn't do it. And Trump doesn't need the money. He's told everybody that. And there's a strong feeling that he's going to run again in 2020 and win again in 2020 because, well, he doesn't need to take money for special interest groups to give them what they want. And that drives them up a wall because they're not used to that. They're used to being able to. And what I've seen in my lifetime, I've seen special interest groups say, if you don't do this, we're going to do. They did that with Reagan. I was talking to the assistant treasurer of Reagan administration. He came, I think you were with me, he came and spoke in Fort Walton, and he was talking about how the Republicans despised Reagan when he first came into office. Worse than Trump. Worse than Trump. And then after about 2-3 years, they started singing a different tune. But they did not want him to have his vice president picked, so they picked George Bush. He wanted to have Jack Kemp, Reagan did. And they said, no, you can't have that because it would be two terms of you, then 2 terms of Jack Kemp. And they couldn't take that. So they brought in their own insider, which is George Bush, which is the CIA. And I'm not making this all up, and he is, I'll be honest with you, I'm not real happy with the Bushes, the Clintons, or any of those dynasties out there. So, and have people say, well, how can you say that? Well, if you know a little bit about history and Prescott Bush during World War II, you will find out that they were not friends of the American people because they actually sold steel, T-1 tank steel, to the Germans during World War II. And people go, what? Honest to goodness, nope, don't. I didn't make this up. Just Google it. But it is interesting what's going on. I do have to agree with you. I didn't vote for Mr. Trump, but I respect the office and I respect the man. I didn't even vote for Mr. Obama, but I respect the office. And I say, I may not like what Obama did, but he was my president. I may not liked it, but I kept my mouth somewhat reasonable when I started talking. I didn't want to say, all these bad things that people talk about it, and now they're talking about them left and right, and it is kind of amazing, is it not, out there what's happening?
Yeah.
So what
James, you and I last time around both voted for Gary Johnson for president, and we were hopeful that he would be able to have a place on the presidential debate stage with the other two. Mm-hmm. Didn't happen. We know the politics behind that. But this next time around with what Trump has done, maybe you and I end up on different tracks because I'm pretty sure I'm going to vote for Trump. We don't know who the Libertarian candidate for president is yet.
We don't know.
But I can't see, for all my disagreement with Trump, and that's principally on way overspending our military. There are other things, but that's the main thing I dislike about what Trump is doing.
Well,
but there's so much that he's doing that is right that I sort of say, oh, the hell with party or hell with philosophy. I want to see that guy in there for the full 8 years and not just a shorter time.
Well, we're going to find out in another couple of years. We're going to find out what's happening, and it's going to be going to make for an interesting November in the election for governor in Florida. So it really is
for real.
It really is. And I've got to let you go because I got Brian Armstead. He's going to be talking about this. Is going to be his last show here on our show because he's moving on. But he's going to be talking about the Santa Fe, the Hyundai Santa Fe, and we're all excited to hear about that. And Rob, I'll be talking to you again next week. You be good now, okay?
If you want the best deal in town for tires, you need to call Baytown Tires at 873-8900.
Hanson and the guys at Baytown Tires take pride in serving Panama City for over 20 years. Baytown Tires on Highway 98 in St. Andrews. All service work backed by a nationwide warranty.
Water is too powerful to fight alone. Mr. Router Plumbing. Sink, shower, and toilet emergency drain services.
Part of what I'd like to let you know is what we do and how we work our system. Basically, we've got about 700 stocking dealers scattered around the 15 counties here in the Big Bend area of the state. I run a fleet of trucks, vans, and what we call hotshot vehicles to deliver to our dealers quickly so they can help service you as fast and efficiently as they can. Provide timely, and efficient service, and we're there to take care of our dealers, who in turn can take care of their customers.
All right, welcome back to our show. This is James Morris. I was saying earlier that I had Brian Armstead calling. He's going to be talking about the Hyundai Santa Fe. Good morning, Brian. How are we doing this morning, sir?
James.
Yes, sir.
I'm doing good. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, sir. I can hear you wonderful. I hope you can hear me. I know we've been having trouble getting out.
Yeah, barely, but I'll make my way through.
Thank you.
Last week we talked about a vehicle I was very excited about, James, the 2019 Hyundai Santa Fe.
Mm-hmm.
I got up extra early this morning so I could have a clear voice, and I'm still fighting cobwebs. Sorry about that. My voice is a little
That's all right.
wacko this morning. But I'm so excited about this 2019 Hyundai Santa Fe. And if you recall, James, it was because of two specific safety features that they have.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you're listening in this morning or viewing this morning, you didn't get a chance to check out the show, Hyundai has come up with two systems that are really going to be game changers in the auto industry. We'll talk about those, and then we'll talk about some of the drive impressions with the Hyundai Santa Fe, because last week it was embargoed until Monday, which means I couldn't talk about any of the drive impressions. Well, James, as you know, and fortunately, we deal with this every year, and I'm sure you deal with it even more down there in Florida because it gets really hot down there. But as we know, every year we lose children and pets in cars where parents or caregivers have left the children or the pets in the cars. The temperature in a car can soar to 150 degrees very, very quickly or more. And unfortunately, these young people and these young animals die. Literally, they're baked to death from heat. So Hyundai and other manufacturers, but Hyundai's come up with a unique system. Hyundai has a system called Rear Occupant Alert. It's a very amazing system, James, because basically it has ultrasonic sensors in the roof of the car. The Hyundai Santa Fe, the 2019 Santa Fe, is a 3-row vehicle, okay? So, I'm sorry, a 2-row vehicle. So you have 5 seats. In the center row is a trio of sensors mounted to the roof. These ultrasonic detectors check the rear seats and give a visual with the lights flashing and an audible with the horn blowing alert if it detects passengers or pets still in the vehicle.
Wow.
Now, you might say, well, somebody can easily confuse, lights flashing and horns blowing with an alarm system. You lock the car, the lights flash, the horn will blow a couple times, boop, boop, to let you know that the door is locked. Well, Hyundai takes it a step further because via their BlueLink telematics, they send you a text message. They can call you and tell you to go back and look in that rear seat area again. No other system to this date has been able to do that. And during the press conference, James, I asked them, well, is this a system where if BlueLink, let's say you have a BlueLink operator, they don't respond for whatever reason quick enough, that if a warning is sent, you could ultimately tie this into a 911 system, a 911 system, not 911, but a 911 system, emergency system. And they were like, absolutely.
Wow.
So hopefully this will be technology that will be perfected by Hyundai, adopted by corporate cousin Kia, and then lent out to all of the other manufacturers. Volvo, when they came up with the 3-point seatbelt, they didn't keep the technology for themselves. They lent it to other manufacturers. So, and Mercedes has a history of doing that with really key safety features.
Man, is this an evolution of like OnStar? I'm just asking. You think it's like how OnStar first came about, where they could see what was going on in the car? Now they've gone one step further, on this type innovation.
Well, GM has a system. GM did come up with a system, but it just was a reminder on the dashboard for you to turn around and look in the back seat.
Okay.
So it wasn't tied into OnStar at all.
Okay, well, I didn't know. I was just curious because OnStar was the very first system that would, say, Mr. Morris, your car needs a tune-up, or your oxygen sensor's
Oh,
bad.
no.
Yeah.
But that would require OnStar to be able to detect that there was somebody in the back seat.
Yeah.
Now, with all these cameras that we have, people putting in cars now, dash cameras and looking at cameras that face inside to record the occupants, and they put all these little silly TV shows on where, taxi cab rides in New York City where the taxi cab is being, filmed by a camera.
Right.
I don't understand why, for the life of me, manufacturers haven't put cameras in that second row where, and this is something that Hyundai can do. Well, they can tie a camera into these ultrasonic sensors where, boom, as soon as you get an alert that there's movement, ultrasonic senses movement, okay?
Yeah.
Now, a kid and a dog or a cat can't keep still.
No.
Particularly when that's about, that's
hot
in a crisis situation.
Right.
Tie a camera into that. Show on the iPhone or the Android, or send that video to Blue Link, and then they can automatically roll down the windows on the car and automatically summon help from 911, 911, 911 emergency operators.
So it'll roll down the windows. It'll roll down the windows.
Yeah, roll down the windows. Boom.
Wow.
When you detect something in the car, roll down the windows.
Okay.
So that's going to be, Hyundai's on it. I mean, they know that this is something. I mean, it's tied into their telematics system. Their whole occupant safety alert is tied into their telematics system. So the sky's the limit for Hyundai with this new rear occupant alert. It's the world's first feature which ties ultrasonic sensors into this whole safety parameter. Is critical.
Yeah.
Now, they have another one, James, that I think is just as important to go over one more time.
All right.
If there's called Safe Exit Assist, even if you forget to activate the child locks, if a young person or even an adult in the back seat opens the car and the Safe Exit Assist system senses that traffic is coming, the doors will automatically lock to prevent the rear doors from opening, even if the lever is pulled, even if the that lever which automatically unlocks the door is pulled. Boom. Safe Exit Assist, these sensors on the side and the rear of the car. You've got a car coming, and it senses that this car is going to be too close to your car. Boom, those doors will lock, and that young person can't get out of the car.
Wow.
Until the bogey or the obstacle has passed. Another worldwide exclusive feature from Hyundai. These are two critical pieces of safety technology, James, that just cannot be overlooked. Big ups to Hyundai for developing this kind of technology. It's huge. It's going to be a lifesaver.
This is a game changer. This is the first manufacturer to offer this that I'm aware of, that you're aware of.
Right.
Wow.
Absolutely. It's a game changer. That's the perfect word for it.
Game
changer.
Yeah, well, we got to remember that. But Hyundai Santa Fe, are they available for people to go to the car lot and test drive and do a look?
Yeah. The 2019 Santa Fe is on dealer lots now.
Okay, good. That's what.
And the 2019 Santa Fe differs from the 2018 Santa Fe, which is still available. The 2018 is a 7-passenger model, and this new 2019 Santa Fe replaces the Santa Fe Sport. It's a 5-passenger model.
Okay.
So when they refresh the larger Santa Fe, they'll give it some kind of moniker, XL, triple XL. They'll call it something different, to differentiate it.
Yeah.
But for right now, the ride quality, I had a chance to drive the 2019 Santa Fe through the beautiful hills and mountains surrounding Park City, Utah. Oh my gosh, aside from being sick from altitude sickness, it was just an amazing experience, James. I mean, it's just so beautiful up there. It's just beautiful.
It is.
And the Santa Fe did not suffer from any kind of altitude sickness itself. Some engines, as you know, when they get up in the thin air, we were up at about 8,500, 9,000 feet.
Oh boy!
They get up in the thin air, they start wheezing just like humans do because there's not enough oxygen being sent to the engine through the intake to feed the oxygen demands and the air demands that an engine requires to mix with the fuel properly and get you on down the road. No such calamities with the 2019 Hyundai Santa Fe. It's available in front-wheel drive or H-track all-wheel drive. It's got an 8-speed automatic transmission. The thing shifts smooth as butter. I mean, it's a nice soft butter. Just really super smooth.
I cannot believe 8-speed transmission. Is this the first year for an 8-speed transmission? Because I don't think I've seen one lately.
No, Lexus has a 10-speed transmission, and Chrysler has 9-speed transmission.
Wow! I guess I don't see these cars that are 3 or 4 years old, so I guess I'm behind the curve. But it's
just a little bit, couple years behind.
Wow, that's amazing.
They're fighting. All these manufacturers are fighting CAFE requirements. So each little gear that's smaller than the next can save you X number of miles per gallon, or even tenths of a miles per gallon in this CAFE game.
Wow. So
8-speed's about normal now. I mean, 7 and 8 speeds.
I guess so. I'm used to working on 6 speeds all day long, but when you said 8-speed, I went, man, that's one more technology I get to figure out.
Yeah. You can imagine opening a transmission, and you've got eight speeds to deal with and trying to repair. Oh my goodness! Send it off to the specialist shop for sure.
Well, believe it or not, on most cars today, it's all electronic, and it's mainly if you have a problem, you just replace a solenoid or a valve body. It's not like it used to be. We had to change gears and clutches. I mean, they still go bad, but much different than it used to be, the technology out there. I fix cars all the time just by replacing the valve body that 10 years ago you'd throw away the transmission. Now we just replace a part, reprogram it, and it's back on the road again. It's amazing.
Right.
It's incredible out there. So the Santa Fe, in your view, if you want to give it a 5-star rating as being the best, 1 star being the worst, would you say it's a 4 or 5 star or somewhere in that area?
Oh, it's absolutely a 5-star vehicle,
okay.
James. You can start at $25,000 and go up to $36,000 with the Ultimate 2.0 turbo model. Hyundai is doing it right. I mean, I drove the Kia Forte the other day. The Hyundai Elantra is terrific. The Hyundai Santa Fe is terrific. I mean, the whole Hyundai Kia Corporation, they've got a little bit of something for everything, but specifically Hyundai, which is the parent company, from top to bottom, whatever you want, they'll offer to you. The only thing that the Koreans don't offer right now is a pickup truck. And whether they get in and they're probably wise not to get in a game that, you're just not going to win.
Yep.
When the F-150 and Ram and Silverado just dominate the game, and then Tundra is trying to pick up some crumbs.
Yes, they are.
And the Titan's trying to pick up crumbs.
Yes, they are.
So they're wise to stand on that game because it's a no-win scenario trying to build a full-size pickup for an American market.
That is pretty amazing. It really, really is. Now, this car right here is people can go ask about the Santa Fe, go take test drives in it at the local
HyundaiUSA.com. They've got incentives online. It's a terrific vehicle.
I'm excited about this. It sounds like it's definitely a game changer, like you said, as far as safety requirements, because we've had the side impact bags and the front airbags and seat belt bag, everything for safety, but nothing towards rear occupants being left in a car. And that's going to, I really think that's going to be standard equipment in the next 5 years on all cars. I really think
I certainly hope so, James.
I think so. Thank you so much for being on here, Brian. It's been a pleasure working with you over the years.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely,
and
James.
We're going to miss you, but thank you so much for calling over these last few years at Ask the Master Auto Technician. And keep in touch with us, okay? Please do.
I certainly will, James. You guys take care.
All right,
now. Great opportunity, and I appreciate it very much.
All right. Thank you so much, Brian. We'll be talking to you someday soon. All right. Bye-bye now.